Happy Saturday, my beautiful people. How you all doing? It's your girl, Dr. Shonna. I see Zeus is in the room, and so is Sugar Mama. To Sugar Mama, peace and blessings to you all. I'm here to talk about a young lady named Andrea Sanders out of Milwaukee. Let me go ahead and turn this light down. This is a little bit too much for my liking. But her name is Andrea Sanders, and she is out of Milwaukee. May she rest in peace. I just have a question before we go ahead and get started. It is 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are? It is 10 o'clock p.m. Do you all know where your children are? We have to have this conversation. I remember when I was a child and I was growing up, the news used to always put as 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are? And it came on like clockwork. I knew whenever it was 10 o'clock because it came on like clockwork to let us know what time it was. And that message that said, do you know where your children are? The message that it really gave off was for your children to be at home with you. It is 10 o'clock. In other words, it was saying it is 10 o'clock at night. It is too late for your children to be outside. It is 10 o'clock at night. By this time, you should know where your children are, and they should really be in their house, and you should know whether or not they are safe. It is 10 o'clock at night. Don't have your children outside because things at a certain hour begins to happen outside, and your children are at risk of harm. So tonight, for Shooter Saturday, we're going to have a conversation about that tonight. So I want you all to be ready as we go ahead and unpack this in a way that's going to have us look at ourselves. I'm always looking at myself and my children. And I'm always happy to share with you guys. I know that it's something going on sinister in this world as it relates to our children. And there is no one answer to solve the issues that's happening with our youth industry. We can blame one individual we want to, but it's a bigger issue and a bigger problem than what we are really looking at. So as everyone comes on in a room, say your peace and blessings to one another. Remember tonight, let's keep it respectful. Let's not try to be rude and disrespectful. Let's grow up and grow out of that. If you don't have anything nice to say, go ahead and leave. Go to somebody else's channel where you could talk smack and talk ish all day. On this channel, we are going to be mature about things. We're going to be a family. We're going to have to look at ourselves and look at each other and hold one another accountable. If you can't do that tonight because it's Saturday and you just want to be a fool, go to another channel and be a fool because it is not welcome here. So let's go ahead and get started. It is 10 o'clock at night. Do you know where your children are at? I bring to you a story of a young lady. Her name is Andrea Sanders. This young lady is 17 years old. And on or about August 19th, this young lady was unalived. She was sent home to her maker due to reckless, thug, criminal behavior where a bullet hit her in her head, killing her. 17 years old. I want to be able to read the story to you all as the story goes. A 16-year-old Milwaukee boy faces multiple charges tied to the fatal shooting of a 17-year-old girl near Wall Park on Saturday, August 19th. The accused faces the following criminal counts: first-degree reckless homicide, first-degree reckless injury, first-degree recklessly endangering safety. Remember, this accused is 16 years old. According to the criminal complaint, a Milwaukee police sergeant heard numerous gunshots when he was patrolling around 5:30 a.m. 5:30 a.m. on Saturday, August 19th. The sergeant indicated it sounded like there were multiple shooters, including a rifle being fired, the complaint says. After the first volley of shots, the sergeant heard more, but it sounded as if the shots were moving. A few moments later, the sergeant spotted a gray SUV Dodge Durango with tinted windows traveling north at speeds of approximately 110 to 120 miles per hour. The sergeant believed the vehicle was involved in the shooting due to the timing of the event. Officers who arrived on the scene near 49th and Parkway found a 17-year-old girl, later identified by friends as Andrea Sanders, inside a vehicle who had been shot. Despite life-saving measures, the teen was pronounced dead on the scene from multiple gunshot wounds. A 17-year-old female victim was taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. A detective on the scene recovered more than a dozen cases from the scene. Shot spotter audio from the incident was also recovered. The complaint says it was determined that there were 15 impulsive sounds in total for this incident. Officials with a man who was in the same car as the deceased, the man stated he picked up the 17-year-old and three others around 2 a.m. on August 19th, and they went to Wall Park. While at the park, this person spotted a gray SUV drive through the park in what was described as a suspicious manner. Later, when the person was dropping the women off at home, he told police the gray SUV was following him and he began to hear shots being fired from behind him and then bullets hitting his vehicle. He sped westbound and the Durango rammed him. The man denied having a firearm or issues with the occupants of the Durango. According to the criminal complaint on Wednesday, August 23rd, that's 4 days later, a police officer located a Dodge Durango near 38th and Green Tree that was burned. The vehicle matched the description of the SUV involved in the homicide, and the license plate also included the letters ASH, Ash. The complaint says the vehicle wanted in connection with this offense had a registration plate of Ash 2815. The complaint also refers to a carjacking that took place at the Dollar Tree near 45th and Greenfield in West Milwaukee on August 18th, a day before the incident. The victim stated two black males approached her with guns in their hands and demanded the keys to the store and her vehicle. The victim gave up her keys and the suspects took her vehicle. On August 24th, the police spoke with the victim of the carjacking and showed her a photo array. She picked the defendant's picture as the person who asked for keys. The complaint says the woman stated that the defendant then pushed past her and into the driver's seat. Later, on August 24th, police conducted two interviews with the defendant. In the first interview, he denied being involved in the homicide near Wall Park. In the second interview, the defendant first denied being involved in the carjacking or the homicide, but then made statements that put him as either a witness or an individual that was willing to aid or assist individuals who commit those crimes. When confronted with inconsistencies in his story, the defendant then made admissions regarding his conduct. According to the criminal complaint, the defendant admitted that he was involved in the carjacking on a Dodge Durango in West Milwaukee. He also admitted to driving the Dodge Durango during the homicide on August 19th. When the detectives asked what happened to the Durango, the defendant stated that some dudes burned the car by his house. He was scheduled for his appearance in Milwaukee County Court on Friday, September 1st. This is what I'm talking about. This is what I am speaking of. There's a situation here that's going on, and I'm not too sure if we as a whole is giving enough energy to what's happening in these streets. Now, I know many people will always say it is the dad that's not involved, and that's why these things are happening. It is the mama that is not active, or she's not a good mama, and that's why these things are happening. But I want to challenge your thoughts tonight. I want to challenge your thoughts to determine if is one or the other, or is it a multitude of issues that are happening that is causing even the best of parents to lose control of their children. It is after 10 o'clock p.m. Are your children home? As I stated in the beginning of the video, that is something that I grew up with when I was a child. I know in my house we had to be home at a certain hour. Now, I don't want y'all to think that I'm blaming a victim, because I'm not. I'm going somewhere with this story. So don't say, oh, she rest in peace and respect her name. And don't say that, because I'm not blaming the victim. This is Shooter Saturday. And anyone who has been with me for a while, when I report on Saturdays, you know I'm going to cover a story that involves a shooting, and we're going to have a conversation about it. This is for us as a community to get better, to get better. And it's not about blaming the victim. Unfortunately, the victim is an example for us. But I just know that at 17 years old, I know that parents, or those parents and family members and friends, are heartbroken because she did not leave her house to intend not to come back home. When I read this story, I don't know about y'all, I'm gonna give y'all some healthy disclosure. When I read this story, it broke my heart. It broke my heart, and it also scared me. Yes, I get scared, y'all. Believe it or not, I know it's an emotion. I can feel it. Although I don't act out on my emotions, I can feel it. It scared me. It scared me because I am a mother of a 19-year-old child. I am a mother of a 25-year-old child, and I'm a mother of a 10-year-old child. It scared me because I know over this last summer, I've been going through some real stressful times with my 19-year-old son. Stressful times. And when I think about this young lady, Andrea Sanders, the fact that it's reported in the newspaper that she got picked up and they went out to the park at 2 o'clock in the morning as they were heading home at 5:30 in the morning, this happened. It makes me think of my own child and how many times I speak to him constantly about not going into the street at ungodly hours, at realizing that people you think will protect you and keep you safe, whether it's their intentions or not, you still get caught up with them. Having my child think about how many people out there who are nutty and crazy, and if they have an issue with you or a problem with you, they will take your life without even blinking their eyes. And no matter how many conversations I have with him, no matter how many conversations his stepfather has with him, his biological father has with him, or my partner, it doesn't matter how many stories we have with him. He does what he wants to do. And I say that because so many of us right now who are watching this live, who has teenagers, some of us know that very thing. No matter how you maintain your household, no matter what lifestyle you provide for your children, no matter what education you have given them, no matter how much you have loved your children, sheltered them, it doesn't matter. When they get a certain age and they get caught out here with the world and the way that people operate in the world, they will defy the rules. They will not listen to you. They will do whatever they want to do. And the children don't really understand, nor do they know the dangers that await them in the dark. And in this case, what's going, not in this case, but in society, what's going on, and it wastes them in the daytime too. There is something for us to learn from this story, that we as parents, no matter what kind of parent you are, we always want to point out the bad parents, right? Let me tell you, it happens to a lot of parents, no matter the educational level, no matter the income level, no matter the neighborhood, it doesn't matter. It happens to a lot of parents. Somewhere along the lines, our children get drawn in with the derelict behaviors that are found in the streets among their friends and other people in the community, and we lose control and grip over our children. Some of our children are doing what they want to do when they want to do it and whomever they want to do it with, no matter what you say. You can tell your children that your friends are not your friends, and they're still going to hang out with those friends. You could tell your children hanging out at ungodly hours is not for you. And you only one or two things are going to happen to you. Is either you're going to be a victim or you're going to lose your freedom. It is not for you. Children will still make those decisions to hang out because children, that's why I don't like working with teenagers. I don't work with any kids whatsoever for this very reason. They know everything. They know everything. And no matter what you tell them, and no matter how soft you tell them, no matter how harsh you tell them, no matter how you show them, it doesn't matter. No matter what, these children are going to do whatever they want to do. Whether they are males, females, early teenage years, young adult years, they know everything. It's 10 o'clock at night. Do you all know where your children are? You see, when your babies are small, it's easy for you to have more structure and control over your babies. It's easy. But when those babies become teenagers, especially given the community that you live in, it gets harder to control them. Even when those babies go off to college, like mine, even when those babies go off to college, it gets even worse because they really do think because they survive on their own in a dormitory, they still think they know what they're doing. They still think that they can outsmart the evil, criminalistic people. I see this all the time. When I heard this story, I was broken. I was broken. And I said, this has been the very thing all summer that has plagued my mind. It ain't nothing like being a parent. I don't care if you are a father or a mother. If you are involved with your children and you love your children, it is nothing like being a parent because it doesn't matter what age our children are, we worry for them. This summer, I've lost so much sleep. It's unbelievable because I worry for my child. I worry that he's made these friends that live in neighborhoods that I know are not safe for him. And he's drawn to that energy. He's drawn to that life. I don't know. Perhaps I provided such a bubble of a life for him. And when he's got out there in the world and he got to know people and meet people and see how they live, I don't know. Perhaps he's fascinated by their lives. I don't get it. This brother here, even Steven, says they won't understand until they hit rock bottom, Doc. I wish I did. I didn't allow my son to move back home. He fumbled a $50,000 bag. I am so done with him. He is now 33 and blew his pension in 3 weeks. This is what they do. 33 years old. Because they know everything. They know everything. When I read that story and it said a Durango went through that park and followed these young people home or were on their way home, shot up their car. One 17-year-old was hit with a bullet. She survived her her injuries. The other one lost her life. When I thought about that, I am so sick to my stomach because those are the fears that have plagued me this whole entire summer. So when I tell y'all that I go through things, I mean it. When I tell y'all, if I'm not coming on here and I'm not talking to you, I can't deal with the shenanigans of the community when I have my own issues that I'm going through. I can't come and be smiley and be happy and start teaching and educating and helping people when I got my own issues I'm going through. And so easily people can dismiss of their children. I don't know. Everyone is different. I'm built different. I can't do that. Because I know, and I don't know about your children, but I'm going to say for my children are not prepared to deal with these streets. My children are not prepared to survive. I don't know what's going on in this community in these days, but when I was growing up, we had to survive. I left my home at 18 years old and I never came back. I never came back, and I was never on welfare a day in my life as an adult. Do you hear me? Never. When I became a mother and I got married, I provided for my child on my own, working while finishing up college. I didn't have the opportunity to stay in my mother's house. And it was hard. And it was hard. And if I can go back and do it again and still be promised the same children I have today, if I was promised the same children, I would do it again. And I would do it differently. And I would listen to my mother. And I would stop thinking I'm grown and trying to do everything I think that I know how to do. But it doesn't matter now because I've already went through it and I've already done it. And many of us are the same way. We've been through it, we've done it, and we try to educate our children so that they don't have to make our mistakes. But what I am finding out, family, for so many of our children, it doesn't work that way. I have 3 children with 3 different personalities. My oldest, I ain't got to worry about. Well, I always worry because I'm a mother. But my oldest, I trust her with everything, and that's why she's over the whole entire estate. If I was to pass away, everything is in her name, and she knows through the will who gets what and how to divide it all. She understands that because I can trust her to do that. But boy, my son, I cannot. I cannot. My daughter worries me for other reasons. My daughter worries me that one day she'll meet a derelict who sees her for all her education, all of everything that she has built in her life. As I shared with you guys last week, she's in medical school, and I know she will finish, and I know she'll become a doctor because that's who she is. So my fears and concern for her are different. But for my son, I can't sleep at night. Am I the only one? Family, talk to me. Am I the only one? For my son, I cannot sleep at night because he doesn't make wise decisions. Here it is. Toy says, if you happen to have a leg up, our children are raised differently. I know mine are not streetwise. Yours are not streetwise yet. Yours are not streetwise yet. My son has always lied to people from where he's from, because the communities that he was raised in, it doesn't make him seem like he down with everybody else. So he has never told people where he actually lives at. Instead, he tells them that he's from where I'm from, the Bronx. And his excuse is because people are not going to know what town I'm from. And since you are from the Bronx and uncle's from the Bronx, and I used to stay with grandma when we used to bring us in the summer, at least they know that, and I'm not too far from the Bronx. So he tells people he's from the Bronx. He ain't from no damn Bronx. Go off to college, to an engineer school, link up with some kids that's from Brooklyn, Queens, and the Bronx. Now he over in New York City. He going over there every day, and my heart is just pounding every day as I pay attention. I watch where he's going on the Apple location, because I know those communities that he is going to are not safe communities, because that is my hood. And my hood has gotten worse since I have left. But guess what? You can't tell these children anything. For some reason, they're attracted to this nonsense. They're attracted to hanging out in the street at all hours. They're attracted to smoking weed all damn night and all day, listening to their music, doing all types of things. They just think it's fun. They're attracted to that kind of behavior. And what can you do? What can you do besides pray for them if you pray? What can you do besides burn some sage? What can you do but build an altar and talk to your ancestors? What can you do but just hope that they come home safely? What can you do? The person here says knowledge is gained through experiences, and I don't think that any of us will disagree with that statement, that knowledge is gained through experiences. But I think we can all agree that not all knowledge is applied, and not all experiences are good, are safe. And sometimes you'll go through an experience and it will be your last experience. And sometimes you'll go through an experience and you will lose your freedom. So although we all can agree with this statement that knowledge is gained through experiences, some things are costly because mistakes are costly. And I raise my children to know that mistakes are costly. And even though I talk to them about that every day, and even though we have critical discussions around the table, and even though we discuss things, I have my son listening to so many different motivational, educational, knowledgeable videos and audio books and all types of things, and we play different type of things, Monopoly, you name it. We have done everything. They're involved with me in real estate investing and all that. They're all in the same group. That my girlfriend who's an investor, we're all in the same group, including my adult children, and they know what it looks like and what to do, and they help to recruit people to rent our houses out to, and they do all of that as well. But sometimes that's just not enough. Just like OG Patrice said, trouble is easy to get into, but hard as hell to get out of. See, I'm saying something way different than this. I think what we're dealing with is a different beast than it was 25 years ago. It's a different beast that we're dealing with. See, we know that humans learn through social experiences. We learn behavior through socialization. We know that to be true. Do you know that you can't find it on my social media pages? Because anybody that has negative nonsense, I unfollow them. There's some powerful people in the community that we like and we love, and some of us don't like and love them. That's okay, that I had to unfollow because all the content is negative. All the content is negative. And I sit here and I say, damn, if everything that comes out your mouth is a negative perspective, what is that energy source like around you? And see, some people think because they have energies around them that they're doing something big, but when all the energies around you are like you and you're negative, then you have nothing but negative energy around you. So I just go and I unfollow those kind of people because I understand what happens if you watch too much negativity. Subconsciously, it will take over your behavior and over your thinking. I know this to be true. So when I think about how social media is used, and when I think about how addicting social media is, and when I think about the day my son said to me, Mom, do you know how many murders and violent acts I have seen on social media just today? It is sickening. And I said to him, why do you follow those pages? And he said, I don't follow those pages. But what happens, Mom, is if somebody of my friends group was to share something with me in my DM and I click on it, and now goes to the algorithm and it starts feeding me all of this, and I have to now report those pages to get them off of my page again. He said it's sickening how many murders happen online. Tetuko says, don't let experience have to teach you everything, right? You better tell them. You better tell them. So when I think about how social media is programmed and how the algorithms work and how so many of us, it is so addicting, we cannot put the phone down. Once you see one thing, you look and you know they start to tweak these things and they start making it a certain type of way because they want you to stay on social media. And they feed you the nonsense over and over and over again. You ever thought about why they play around with the different times? Videos that are 1 minute versus 45 seconds versus 3 minutes and longer, whatever the case is, they know what that does. See, they want you to hook in and watch all this thug like, ridiculous, derelict behavior. And if you watch the derelict, thug like, ridiculous, juvenile delinquent behavior over and over and over and over and over again, it will consume you. So, in other words, what am I trying to say? If you see a video, or if your children see a video of other teenagers outside and they're doing stupid stuff and they just wilding out and they just having fun and they just living their life and they just twerking and they just doing all types of stuff, and it doesn't matter what kind of teenager it is. It could be a teenager that identify as she, her, him, he, they, them. It don't matter. All of them are addicted to derelict behavior because they find it in their feed over and over and over again until it influences their own behavior. It is 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are at? That is not playing on anybody's phone nowadays, because all the children are outside at 10 p.m. All the children are outside at 1 and 2 o'clock a.m. Or the children are coming home after breaking day, because it's cool to break night, right? Or break day, whatever the hell they tell you. It's cool to do that. Everybody is hanging out. Even Steven says, Doc, these boys don't understand without having skin in the game. He has to wonder where he will lay his head or where the next meal will come from. If we guarantee them anything, if we fail them, no other way around that. Well, I got a little story to tell you, even Stevens. And I'm not saying I'm in 100% disagreement, but I think the mindset, and I'm not saying it's wrong, so let me just talk to you freely, even Stephen. I'm saying I think the mindset is old school. It's old school. And see, these kids today, that doesn't work for them today. It doesn't work for them today. Let me tell you a story that hit home for me. I would say, so what, this is 2023 right now. Oh, Lord Jesus. Maybe 2020, the incident happened. 2021, he went away. Let me tell you a story about a young boy, a young man who was raised by a very educated mother who did not live in the hood, who had her child extra involved in football all of his life. I don't know if they call AAU. I don't know if AAU has a football, but he was in that football that they played different cities, different states, and the championship was in Florida. That's how heavy and involved he was in football all his life. All through high school, he played football as well. And then he became a 16-year-old, and 16-year-olds do what 16-year-olds do. And he wouldn't listen to his mama. He didn't listen to his father. And he just knew everything. He just knew everything. And then it got to the point where the mindset of the parents were, if he can abide by the rules of this house, then he has to leave. And when he became 17 years old, that was the decision the parents made and told him that he would have to leave if he cannot abide by the rules. And this young man did just that. Now, I watched his mother cry every day, sad every day. You could see her face. You could see how slim it was getting. You could see the bags under her eye. And I can relate to his mother. Because at that time, my son was too young. So he was still up under my wing. He was still living in the bubble that I created for him. So my son, I couldn't relate to that because I never been through it. But I watched her cry daily. I watched her worry daily. And I said to her, anytime that you can't go to sleep, just give me a call. I'll wake up and talk to you. And I would do that. And she questioned if she made the right decision. But of course, the father had the same mindset that even Stevens had. He ain't gonna know unless he on the street, he living in himself. Let him figure it out. He won't figure it out. Did just that. He caught a case while he was on the street figuring it out. And I'm not talking about no drug dealing case. He got his hands on a weapon and being a curious teen with other curious teens doing what they do and showing off, not realizing that there was a bullet in the chamber. He pulled the bullet and the bullet went through the seat and killed the young man in the front. Lost his life. And he's doing the time now. I'm not saying that the parents were wrong for putting him out. I'm not saying that. They did what they had to do because they didn't know what else to do. And the old school mindset would tell us that that's what you do. You can't follow the rules. You got to leave the house. And I'm not saying I'm in disagreement. I'm just saying I don't think that blanket rule can apply to all types of children. It just really can't. Can't apply to all types of children. So we would say that he learned his lesson, but at what cost? At what cost? See, because when you take away your leadership, when you take away your affection, when you take away your love, your wisdom, your guidance, your forgiveness, when you take that away, you leave them to figure it out themselves. And they're going to figure it out by what method? When you on social media and that's all you seeing is stupid, derelict behavior over and over again, eventually you're going to start doing the same stupid, derelict behavior that you're seeing on social media. Eventually, that's what's going to happen. We think anomalies will raise correct children. The Black community will override an automatic anomalous family first every time. We must fix our community to fix the family. Or should we fix the family to fix the community? Which come first, the chicken or the egg? So like I said, I'm not saying one way is bad and the other is good. I don't know what's going to work for an individual child. But what I'm saying to us that what we are doing is not working. It's not working because we are up against a different beast, is what I'm saying. Those who used to have their children under control and under wrap don't have that anymore. I'm going to be the first one to say it. Social media has been a blessing and a curse at the same time. And unfortunately, when a mind is so fragile and highly suggestible, you up against a different type of beast. How do you now compete against the system that has carjacked or hijacked your child's thinking? How do you compete with a system that is on play 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? It can beat you. You cannot stay involved in your children's life 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, but the system can. The system can. How do you compete when the social media aspects have allowed children to stay up at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, scrolling, because their mind doesn't shut off and they cannot go to sleep? How do you compete with that? How do you compete with that? While you have rested your eyes because you're human, your child's brain is being programmed. Even says, I understand 17 to 21, but over 21 can't be in the parents' house making grown decisions. It shouldn't apply to all, but a grown ninja we gave a break to, but he is big balling, big spending, not respecting parents' struggle. Right? So, in other words, what even Stephen is saying is, I can understand the 17 to 21. Once you pass that 21-year-old mark and you making grown decisions, you got to leave the house. You got to get on out and find your own way. I can understand that. But in another school of thought, I can also argue that a child's brain does not fully mature until it's 26 years old. Everyone gets to manage their households however they choose. And I think it's a case by case situation. And I'm not in disagreement with you, even, Stephen. I'm just giving another perspective because every case is unique. And sometimes in the community, we have one way of doing things and we think everyone should do it. And we use the same old strategy that we've been using for 400 years to tell somebody how to raise their children. But how do you compete when there's a system at play 24 hours a day, 7 days a week that's programming your child's mind? We see children going to school with that same system in their pocket, and not even teachers, principals, authorities can even control the children. We see it every day. We're not talking about elementary school kids. We may not be talking about middle school kids, but when they get to high school, we talk about a whole nother ball game. Like, I don't think that we have been equipped to deal with the system for what the system is today. I don't think we have been equipped to deal with YouTube for the young children, TikTok for the older children. I don't think we have been equipped to deal with this. And I hear so many parents struggle with it. It doesn't matter their background. It doesn't matter their social structure. It doesn't matter their education, their race. I hear all parents struggling with the same system called social media. I see all parents struggling. I see people, somebody said you have to do when they're like 3 or 4. I've seen parents like me who children don't even have cell phones, but they know about TikTok. They know about YouTube because their friends come to school with their cell phones and they all hover around each other and then they watch stupid, derelict behavior while at school, while at camp, while at aftercare, while at auntie's house, while at grandma's house, while at church. Yes, watching reckless content over and over and over again. How do you compete with that? How do you compete with the community, a society that tells you that now you can smoke weed? Weed ain't no problem. And I know weed smokers don't like to hear this, and that is okay. I'm going to say it anyway. How do you compete with that? When now you have younger kids thinking it's okay, and they're doing it all day. They're doing it in public. You can walk out in a park where children are at, and you can smell it everywhere. You could be driving your car and come to a red light, and the smell is seeping right into your car. It is everywhere. People are driving, even doing it, knowing you are impaired. How do you compete with that? You can monitor them all day. You can monitor all day, Trina, and see what they see. You can check them cookies. You can block them. These children today will always outsmart you when it comes to anything technology because they are digital natives. They were born in this. Schools hand out Chromebooks every year. They do all their work on Google Classroom and everything. They're born for this. How do you compete with that? How do you compete with that? I'm telling you, man, this story is a story that happens all too often. This incident is an incident that happens all too often, especially in our community, all too often. This ain't anything new. Do you hear me? It's not new. It happens all too often. And we're seeing it even more every day. How do you compete with this attraction to being in the street? How do you compete with this attraction to guns? How do you compete with hanging out at wee hours in the morning, drinking, smoking, shooting guns? How do you compete with that? The cops don't even know what to do with these people anymore. The cops don't know what to do with them anymore. Right? This brother here is talking about his son, saying that he did fine when he left the house, but he had some health issues, so we let him move home at 27. He made 60,000 a year, and then thought he was saving for a house. He didn't save anything and blew the pension. And why do you think that happened? Why do you think that happened? Because they're going to do what they want to do. Right? Taduka says, keep your energy up. Kids take a lot of energy. My grandbaby was full of energy today, and she's only 8 months. See, I'm not in disagreement with that. And that's not what I'm talking about. What kind of energy are you keeping up for a 17-year-old? And I'm not trying to be funny. What kind of energy are you keeping up for a 17-year-old? Some children are going to obey you and listen to you. That's the reality. And some are not. Some are not. And some lose their mind once you let them leave the house. Once they go on to college, like my son, go off to college, Now he think he can really survive. You can't survive nothing, baby. I'm paying for you to be in college and live where you live and drive what you drive. I'm paying for it. You ain't surviving nothing. But for some reason in these kids' heads, they really do think they're doing something, especially when they pick up their little Uber job. They really do think they're doing something. And I'm not trying to be funny calling a little Uber job, because I know some people are sensitive and they're gonna start getting in their bag and coming at bougie Dr. Shonna, right? That's what y'all gonna do. I'm not trying to be funny, but I'm saying really, if you do the calculation, you're only making $10 to $15 an hour on Uber. If you really do the calculations, how much time you out there. But these kids really do think they're doing something because they can make their own little money that gets deposited into their little digital wallet, and then they act like they don't need anything, and they can move out. We thinking about moving out. That's what he told me. We thinking about moving out. Oh, okay. I guess y'all can afford $2,400 a month. And then you know what they say? We're moving in this kind of neighborhood, mom. You gotta go to the hood. Oh, okay. Okay. I can't compete with that. And then even though we as parents, we say, I did my job. I got you through college. You do whatever you want to do now. I did my job. We still don't go to sleep at night. We still don't go to sleep at night knowing that our babies, like Andrea Sanders, knowing that our babies are in the street, knowing that our babies have friends that our spirit just don't feel comfortable with, knowing that our babies are doing things that we ain't raised them to do, picking friends that we didn't teach them to have. They're doing what they're doing. We can't go to sleep at night because it stresses us out. Knowing that our children aren't safe, but what do you do? Do you know how that feels to feel powerless? Do you know how it feels to know you've done all you can do to raise your children up in the ways that you have taught them, but still be powerless because they're going to make their own decisions? Oh, I'm going to let him move out. I'm going to let him move out. If you want to move out, he got to move out. I'm not begging nobody to stay. I like my house a certain way. I'm not begging nobody to stay with me. You can move on out. But what I'm saying to you all is just because your child moves out doesn't mean, and maybe I could just speak for myself. I don't know how you all are, but it doesn't mean me, I'll talk about myself, me as a parent will not worry. I will worry. You can have the best child on earth that befriends somebody who's jealous of them, and that person will kill your child. That person will take your child's life. And even though we let them move out and make their decision and have their own friends, it still plagues us. It still hurts us. We still will think about, did I do the right thing? Did I say enough? We still would ask ourselves those questions. So at least I'm not the only mom. At least Paint Goddess is with me. Paint Goddess says our job is never done. When my daughters are hanging out with each other, with each, I can't stop until I know they are home. Sugar Mama said my oldest son many years ago got caught up at 28 years old in Arizona. After graduating from the Navy, raised very well, he ended up with 10 and a half years in prison in Arizona. And I was in for the shock of my life. Right? So even Stevens is Sid, y'all. Hi Sid. What's up, big bro? You always going to worry as long as they're living. Let me talk to the fellas for a second because I hear the ladies saying you're always going to worry, right? We're always going to lose sleep. We're going to be always concerned for our children. I'm just curious, fellas, Do y'all share that sentiment? Do y'all worry about your kids? Do you lose sleep over your children? I'm curious. I'm asking. Do y'all worry about the friends your children are choosing, or the hours that your children are hanging out in the street? Do y'all worry about someone taking your child's life? Do you worry about your children being locked up and doing time? Do daddies, do fathers, do y'all worry about these things? Do y'all actually lose sleep about these things? When brother says, my son is my life. Somebody says, I don't lose sleep, but I worry. Crypto says, I always worry. So fathers, when y'all worrying about your kids, how do y'all handle that? What do y'all do? Is this a guy? If it is, he says, I'm always concerned about my 2 adult children. Eunice says, my husband does. We do too. Somebody said the men I know call their phones and I get it, women, but I want to hear from the men. Because women, we have a tendency to do that a lot. And I'm not getting on y'all, ladies. I'm just saying we have a tendency to do that a lot, to answer for the men. Let the men answer. The beauty of this channel is there are men and women, and y'all follow me closely. 50 or 49 and 51, y'all follow me closely. Let the men answer. Jim says, of course I worry, but I have to allow them to make their decisions, good or bad. Yeah, we don't make their decisions for them. We can't. So Kenneth says, I bet $1 million most black men don't spend time worrying about their kids. That's what Ken says. All right, good. So Night Train says, Dr. Shonna, hell yes, even when they are grown. Patrick says, all day. Right? Even Steven says, no, because I gave him the tools. I don't lose a wink of sleep and don't call my phone while I'm asleep. Somebody said, Kenneth says, as a black man, I know well, I know we all say my son is my life, but they are only doing 30% of parenting. My brother is one of those men. Hmm. Hmm. Crypto says I use Life 360 app for my daughter. How old is your daughter? Junior says I lean on God for protection. So the men worry about their kids too. They just don't lose sleep apparently. But we as moms, we worry and we lose sleep. And if you are spiritual, a believer, or you are in tune with your children, as a mom, I don't know if dads go through the same thing. And dads, y'all gonna have to tell me. But as a mom, many of us, we can just tell, we can just sense when something happens to our babies. We can just sense when something is off. We can just sense when something is going down. We can sense when something is not kosher. Part of my parents said we don't lose sleep, but we lose hair. So silly. Somebody else said, many of the fathers did not know how to have a good relationship with their own fathers. Ooh. So they don't understand how to raise a man properly. You better speak. Oh man, you're gonna make some men mad. Yes, we have that intuition like no other man. We just know. We know when something is not right with our babies. We know when something's not right. I tell you, this sister right here, I feel for her family. I feel for her family. I feel for her family because to lose a child especially when they're not caught up in anything. They're not even involved with this guy that went on a shooting spree. To lose a baby through violence, senseless, reckless, criminalistic, thug-like violence, it's sad. What are we going to do, community? What are we going to do, community? Crypto Pharaoh says, as men, we are supposed to be protectors. And if you're not worried about your child out in today's world, then you may want to do some self-reflection. Ooh, I gotta have a show. Y'all gotta come on. I'm trying to tell you. That's why I said, let the men speak. Let the men speak. Let the men speak to the other men. We got to stop speaking on behalf of these men. They know how to use their voices. They know what they like and what they dislike. They know how they think. They know what they think about and what they don't think about. Let these men speak. The death of a child at any age is devastating. Devastating. Even when your child, your child is not a bad child and they get caught out there, and the next thing you know, they got a case. Next thing you know, they doing a bid. That's even devastating. I don't know what this young lady's family is going through. But like I said, as I start to get out of here, when I saw that, my heart, my heart went out, because that spoke about my whole fear this whole summer. That spoke about my whole fear, my whole summer. My whole summer. Couldn't sleep. And like the one person said, spend a lot of energy with them. We've done all of that. And we do all of that. We have all gone on family vacation. We have done things locally. We've gone out to dinner together. We cook food together. We was in here the other day doing handstands and silly behind things, playing games. We was doing all types of things. We extended energy. But guess what? At that age, they're only going to do but so much time with their parents, and they're going to run in the street. And that's what I'm saying. It is so hard to compete with the new system that we are in. It is so hard to compete with their attraction to this world as they know it. It is so hard to compete with that. It says hard times make strong men make good times make weak men make hard times. And it's a cycle out here. But what are we going to do, community? I don't have the answers today. But I'm asking you all, what are we going to do? Because it's not getting better. It's not getting easier. We can talk about how people spend their money all day. We can talk about white supremacy all day. We can talk about the Democrats all day. We can talk about that, but what we really need to focus on is, what are we going to do right now to save our children? What are we going to do to save our community? What are we going to do to save our families, to save our relationships? What are we going to do to save our men, to save our young girls, to save our women? What are we going to do? We complain all the time about they're hurting our women and no one is saying anything. We need help. Oh, they locking up our men and no one is doing anything. We need help. Oh, they taking our jobs and no one is doing anything. We need help. What are we going to do? I can't come on here and complain about the system all day, and white supremacy all day, and white people and Asian people and Indian people. I can't come on here and complain about that all day when I see what's happening among us. And then when you bring it up, they want to philosophize about everything that's happening because of this and the system did that and it's programmed. Okay, but what are we going to do now? What are we going to do now? What are we going to do right now? What are we going to do as we're losing our youth? We can talk about the system and the program and the social structure and how we wasting money. We can talk about all of that. What are we going to do right now? Because many of us who are talking about those things are losing their own children. Many of us who are talking about those things has issues and problems with their own children. What are we going to do right now? Somebody says the damage is done. Sorry. Do you know that people who smoke cigarettes or drink alcohol, if they stop smoking cigarettes and drinking alcohol, their lungs and their liver will start to repair itself if they get ahead of it in time, and you add years onto your life where you stop smoking or you stop drinking. If some people had that mindset, the damage is done, sorry, some people would not heal their bodies. The damage doesn't mean that it's over. The damage doesn't mean that it's a loss. This is not a car that was involved in an accident and is totaled. We're talking about human life here. Do we just give up on human life that easily and just say the damage is done? Sorry. Because, that's how they look at us. That's how they look at us. And we're doing the same exact thing. Damage is done. Sorry. I'm sorry. I don't I don't subscribe to that. Because see, when you leave these things unattended, the damage is done, sorry, and you go about your business, that same damage is going to knock on your door one day, or beat you in your head when you're going into your car, or rape your daughter when she's out in the bar from college just having fun, or kill your son because he think he cute and better than everybody. That's what happens when we have that kind of mindset. The damage is done, sorry. The damage is going to show up on your doorstep. And do you want us to just say sorry? I can't have that mindset to just say the damage is done and just walk away. Maybe I'm the fool. Maybe I'm the Pollyanna. Maybe I just got to look at it and say, oh, it is what it is. I don't want to have that mindset because the damage is recording things on social media and putting up there. My children are impressionable, just like anybody else's children are impressionable. And your child don't even have to be on social media to be influenced by the nonsense, the derelict behavior that's on social media. The only thing it takes is somebody from their class saying we should try this challenge. And the kids think it's funny, like, oh, we're going to record it. And your child may not have a phone. Your child may not have no social media accounts, but your child's going to want to be a part of that in crowd as well, because that's what socializing does. And like I said, we're social beings. We learn and we build relationships through socialization. We're going to do that. Most kids have experienced monkey see, monkey do. Monkey do the same as you. That's what happens. Right? That's what happens. So if you say the damage is done, sorry, that damage is going to find its way into your house one way or another because this system is powerful. And if we don't dismantle this whole system, it's going to destroy our generation. And it's destroying everybody. But you know what they say, when white America gets the cold, black America get the flu. It is destroying everybody, and it's hitting some homes harder than others. So no, the damage can be reversed. The damage can be healed. It can be reversed and it can be healed. So I'm not going to adopt that mindset. I love you all. I hope you guys know where your children are at. I hope you guys don't give up on your children. I hope y'all keep talking to your children. I hope you keep exploring different things for your children. If you pray, I hope you keep praying for your children. I hope you keep doing family-centered activities. I hope you find ways to reel your children back in. I hope you find ways to engage your children. I hope you find ways to reach out and say, I love you. Don't say I'm not an affectionate person. I can't stand when people say that. I'm not an affectionate person. Well, God damn it, because you're not affectionate don't mean your kids don't need hugs. Even when my child disappoints me, I still hug him. I still love him. I still kiss him. I still tell him that he's still my baby boy. And I let him go. He still got to make his own decisions, but he knows that I love him. I'm not going to co-sign no dumbass decisions that he's making, but I'm not going to take my love away either. And I don't know, when I hear parents that say stuff like that and they willing to just walk away and turn away from it, or I don't know, it just does something to my soul. It just does something to my soul. Like, are we even tapping in? Are we tapping into our soul? Are we really serious? Like, are we that callous? Are we that cold that we can turn away from our family, from our loved ones, from our neighbors? Can we just really turn away like that? Like, if we could really turn away like that and go to sleep at night and be okay, we really lost as a community. Because that means if we can do that, we get entertained by nonsense too. Like that little those viral videos, fuck them kids. And even though it has some humor to it, you play that over and over and over again. What do you think that's going to do to your thinking? And I just feel like when we turn away and we say callous things, that's exactly what we're doing. Fuck them kids. That's exactly what we're doing. I don't know. I'm not comfortable with that. When my children are in pain, I cry. When they're struggling, I assist. When they lost, I guide. I allow them to make their decisions and I allow them to suffer their consequences. And when they're weak, I come on in and I hug them and I encourage them and I support them and I say, get your head up. This is going to be okay. Let's sit down and problem solve. How are you going to handle this? Have you thought about doing this? Well, here's the number. Call this number. And I let them do the work. But I'm not going to just abandon my kids. I'm not going to do that. I'm not just abandoning my kids. because they're still growing. They're still growing. They're not 28, 29, 30 years old. They're still growing. But some of us, we have that toxic old way of thinking. I'm sorry, just to be frank with some of y'all, some of us have a fucked up way of thinking. We have a fucked up way of thinking. And we try to justify it. We try to okay it. And because we find other little minions that agree with us, we go along with that. And then we don't realize that out of that comes a generation of derelicts. No one is saying to do it for your child and make them disabled. No one is saying to enable their bad behaviors, but you can still provide love and not be enabling. You can still provide love and have boundaries. Listen, that's all I have to say to y'all. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I counsel so many people 40, 50 years old, and they're still damaged from their childhoods. They're still badly damaged. And they're still trying to get out of that toxic thinking. You know, y'all gotta be careful with some of these belief systems that you have. I love y'all all. Have a good night.